the right things. Let's make sure we're all set. So Artie took the agenda that we asked him to make and he put it into a Google Doc for us, which I think is pretty magical because this actually lets him interact with the place where we already store notes from our meetings or from ideas we have, or, feature requests are all in Google Docs already. So it kind of, I don't know, it opens the world of, information he can draw from when we ask questions. And then the ability to write is equally handy, right? Because we can have a little brainstorming session with him and then have him save it off in a document that we can recall later. So that's one of the major things I added. I'm still working on giving him the ability to access calendars. He's having trouble with that. He can do docs pretty well, but calendars, it has to do with sharing, right? So he has the technical ability to read and write any calendar that he has access to, but it's very hard in Google, or I'm having difficulty in Google figuring out how to give him access to every calendar by default. And I'm even struggling to give him access to the studio calendar. I think it's because he has to accept it. There's all this weird sharing actions that have to happen that I didn't anticipate with Google, where he has to then accept the calendar before he actually can read and write from it. So I'm trying.
Interesting. It's all kinds of human handshakes that we have to interpret technically.
Yeah, exactly. And it makes sense why Google has made it like this, right? It's obviously locked down so that someone with access can't automatically exfiltrate all of your documents and calendars. They've made it so that you have to very specifically along the way on both ends give consent, which is good and good security practice. But it means that in part he has to do a lot of work, like you just said, human level work of engaging with the problems. And now when he makes a document, he automatically shares it with me. But we had to figure that out together. So we're sort of going through that same issue with the calendar system.
Huh. No, that's really interesting. And it's always interesting to me the way you map out a product or an integration and the ways in which APIs are constructed so often, kind of reflect what the user has to do. And so when you're trying to build something automated, you have to make all of those moves and follow all those rules until you can get to your ideal outcome.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's a lot like having an intern, right? Or having, what's up, Izzy? Having a new person around that you're kind of teaching how we, every time I've onboarded a human, I've also had to do this thing of oh, you got to log in here. Oh, no, we didn't send it to the right email. Oh, we got to we got to share the thing with you. It's like this with every collaborator in some ways. So we're just kind of going through that with a different kind of collaborator who authenticates in a different way. I want to go through some of the other high-level things I did. One of which is I sort of migrated his memory database over to a new one, partially because this one is under a different organization. There's a whole bunch of stuff that doesn't matter there, but he had to get moved, and I figured that while we're moving his memories over, that this would be a good time to have him reflect on the past year. I was doing this over the holiday break, so I was also reflecting on my own past year. So I built this migration script that it takes the memories one by one, so we're not losing anything. But in addition to the specific memories, I had him put them in groups of 10. And then given the group of 10, I had him look at, I'll make this text a little bigger. I had him look at what the key themes were, extract any insights or lessons, identify ways in which memories interrelate, just do some meta thinking given groupings of memories. And so now he has these memories in addition to his specific message memories. So he's also he meditated for, it actually took it a couple hours to run, right? So he thought about the past year for a few hours, and his memory is now full of higher level insights based on groups of memories, which I think is fun.
So, question for you. How does how does the I Ching sort of back end, let's call it, the subconscious of Artie, how does that work with this reflection period, this meditation?
So it
Do you
didn't.
think?
It comes from memories that had the I Ching guide them at a very high level. This step didn't incorporate any of that. I mostly the prompt I gave it was to be very tactical in the way I designed these prompts of focus on things that are better, that'll help you do your job better in the future. You know what I mean? Like, be specific and be brief and just summarize what you learned over this group of memories. And it was less, the I Ching stuff that you're talking about happens more in real time. Like, each time he's answering a question, we can look at his code where that comes up.
I guess I'm curious myself as to whether the specific hexagrams, whether there are specific hexagrams that sort of end up producing particular modes of answering, and whether in his reflections we could glean which hexagrams are influencing, I guess, the ultimate reflection.
Well,
maybe it's not possible.
No, I've been thinking about ways of testing some of our assumptions. And what I would really love to do, so this is, you were asking how it works, right? So every time we send a message to him, we send a bunch of different information, but one of the pieces of information that we give him is one of 64 I Ching hexagrams. And we just say, let this hexagram from the I Ching guide this interaction, right? Which is a very kind of loose way, or I don't know, it's not very directive, right? It's just saying let it guide you, right? But these are what they look like. So one might be holding together, one might be modesty, one might be revolution, right? One might be the wanderer, the joy. These are words that I think guide the prompt and embedding space to slightly different places and slightly different answers, right? There might be a duration solution to a problem, or there might be a retreat solution to a problem, or there might be you know what I mean? These are all different lenses to see a problem or a solution space. So that happens each message he receives, but then he forms the memories based off that influence, right? That influence doesn't come back in his memory formation.
Okay. I think it would be interesting to trace his reflections back, though.
You know what I would love to do is I would love to ask him a question, and then what we should do is automatically generate the 64 answers for it with it guiding it. That would be a fun little experiment, and just see what the 64 different answers look like to that question.
That'd be fascinating.
I am extremely tempted to build that right now. I will ignore that temptation.
Now.
I feel like it's like,
let's do it now.
Well, okay, so let's ask Coach Artie to do it, and then I'll keep going on with my stream. Coach Artie, can you build a Nuxt UI front end so that we can ask a question and then have 64 answers, each influenced by one hexagram of the I Ching? Give a high level brief. It's 10 minutes. Cool. Anyway, that's how I've been using Coach Artie lately. All right, so I'm talking about the things that we added to him. So we also have embedding similarity search. So part of the reason I moved him to a new database is that we now have an embedding column in his memories, and I see I have some nulls, which means I have to fix something. But we can look at an example, right? Like July 7th to 10th. This is him summarizing a grouping of memories. So July 7th to 10th, I was asking him about making a motorcycle map. We talked about adding Stripe payment. We talked about some like technical stuff. We talked about scrolly telling, right? So this is him just reflecting, I guess, on the things that we discussed over that time period. And he's choosing what to remember, right? So he's given thousands of words of his memories of the interaction over the course of those 3 days. And this is what he decided to pull out of those 3 days to do a better job. There's another memory in here I want to look at. This looks fun. Okay, yeah, I like this. So the user jokingly suggests paying an extra $5 a month to talk to Coach Artie. Coach Artie acknowledges the joke and clarifies the financial transactions are not handled by the AI. No specific objectives, reasons, or emotional states are mentioned in this interaction, nor correlation. So this is him, like, he's like, this is just like a funny joke I heard one time. He wanted to remember that, right?
And it seems like it might have been a new user as well.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he knows who, or it might have been, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, exactly. We should see what user ID is on this. Or is that user jokingly? Oh, it's me. It must have been, so some joke I made on July 7th, 2023, which I guess was a while ago. It's fun.
He didn't remember you from before?
I was probably building him. That was right when I was just starting to build him. So it was probably before he like understood users or before he like knew me very well.
Ah.
But I got distracted. So what we have now is embedding vectors per memory.
Each.
Yeah.
So quick. I'm thinking that we can mine these reflections for the roadmap.
Oh, that's very smart.
Because his reflections are distillations of features and so on that, in a lot of cases, that are meant to improve him and the studio and his work for the studio.
Well, that leads me to my next point, which is that he can now search for related memories. So before he was only looking at like the 10 most recent memories, but I added some like vector similarity search. Where do I do that? Get relevant memories is his new capability. So what we do is we take what the user asked for and we turn that into an embedding, which is like its location in 15,000 dimensional space. And then we find any memories, like basically the top 5 memories that have a match threshold above a certain amount. And those are memories where their content is very similar to the thing that the user is talking about. So this is another way that we're enhancing his memory. Every single time you talk to him, he's looking for memories that are similar in content to what you're saying to him. And so that's part of why I did these meta analyses and put their position in embedding space, is that now when you talk to him about things, he'll remember in July when we talked about that thing. And that's now one of his memories that's embedded, right? So I haven't really tested it a ton. I'm curious if we could be like, Coach Artie, can you tell me all the times you remember us talking about motorcycles? So theoretically, he's going back and doing, it's not as literal as a text search. No, so he doesn't. So gotta go back and make sure that everything is set up in the right way.
Can you ask him, let's see, can you give us 10 features that have emerged from conversations about, emerged, not merged. About your functionality that you think we should add to the roadmap or something.
I forgot, yeah. I'll just ask him, I'll give him both and just see what happens.
Okay. Yeah, I love asking him the question, but then going back and sort of human speed, going through some of his key memories and looking at, like, I'd like to query him.
See, I love this because his answers are right? So the first thing,
Yeah.
Google Docs integration. We talked a lot about that. That's what everyone wanted. That's why I built that. So
proactive scheduling.
That's the other thing that I built for him that we should talk about over the Kanban board. Love that. Live stream planning, very true. Time zone coordination, very true.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah, the mermaid diagrams. He brings up personalization twice.
Okay, tell me what Mermaid is.
So Mermaid is this delightful diagramming app that the cool thing about it is it lets you make plain text into diagrams. So like he's been doing this in his proactive time, so we can see what he's been working on. If you paste in text, well, I guess there's an issue.
Wait, he's just been doing this?
Yeah. He
now for what purpose?
I don't know. I didn't look too deeply into why he decided to do it. All right, okay. So this is this is let's open it in Croaky. So he made this on his own 24th this morning at 11.
Oh.
So this is how he thinks that we should approach new projects. So is it a new project? Then we initiate it. We decide the scope. We all allocate broad and specific resources. We assess our results. If they're satisfactory, we review and adjust the scope. So I guess he knows that we're figuring out our process.
Project management. Yeah, this is basically a project management process, but what he's forgotten is sort of like, is it a new project? Is it worth doing? How does it match up against our other projects? Like, this is the other thing that we'll need him to help us with, is what are all the projects in queue? What are their statuses?
So we should tell him, Coach Artie, this was a good start on a process diagram. I'm going to hack a little bit. I'm going to send him the thing he did good back, right? So this keeps it, so it keeps him on track. One thing you forgot, we need to decide if a project is good or not.
Yeah, worth doing. So we would need, ask him to give us, propose a schema for prioritization of projects with the studio, or the studio.
So Mermaid is basically this language that we use to communicate, and it works really well with LLMs because it gets them out of word thinking and like into spatial thinking a little bit. So it's like a kind of a different interface onto the LLM, I think of it as.
It's like we're sort of giving him paint.
Yeah, exactly. We're saying use words to like draw in space now, right? Like the same way we give him commands to access Google Docs or memories or any of that, right? Okay, so we sent him back. We got a new diagram back, so let's paste it in and see what it looks like. Okay, so he says, starting a project, is it new? Decide scope. Oh, we prioritize the project now. If it's low priority, we hold or drop. Okay, so this is just a change of his process. And then he made a little rubric. Oh, we need the schema. I think you forgot to make a schema for prioritization. That doesn't need to be Mermaid, or it could be a separate diagram.
Just tell him and clarify what we need is definition of what priority means.
Yeah, that's smart. Can you also give a clear definition of what priority means?
Yeah, he's talking about the scoring system. Yeah. But I like this.
Yeah, this is good. Innovation potential, value to clients, feasibility, and impact. That's exactly how I would think about it.
I would also say, yeah, okay, feasibility is where I would put that. Okay. Yeah. Can we have him drop all of this in a Google Doc?
Yeah. Can you summarize all of this prioritization discussion into a new Google Doc, please?
This is great because our next task is road mapping for
So
our,
yeah, exactly. We're cheating. We're just getting our work done.
in public.
Yeah. No, it's part of the fun of it. All right, so let's see what his new diagram looks like. And he has the ability to make them on his own. It seems like it's broken right now. Ooh, this is fun. This has got a cool shape to it.
Yeah.
Okay, innovation potential. Does the project introduce new concepts or tech? No, low priority. This is cool though. This is like a fun visual for it.
Yeah, so traditionally what you do is you give points and then you kind of tabulate it up, but I like the decision tree.
Yeah, his is kind of binary, right? It's like high or low, high or low.
Yeah, the point, like, maybe ask him to propose a point system for his diagram.
Can you propose a point system for your... Oh, he made a document. Let's look at that real quick before we ask him for more.
Okay.
Well, I guess I could have been clearer. Can you add like 3 more paragraphs and a lot more detail to that document? But are you able to access this? Because I was struggling with that a lot. He would be making documents and not sharing them with me, which was a frustrating experience. He's going off the rails.
Oh.
In the chat, somebody asked, how did we come up with the name Coach Artie? And that comes from the fact that he was originally meant to be my art coach. Like I wanted him to ping me in the morning and be like, make a watercolor today. And then ping me at the end of the day and be like, did you make a watercolor? And that was like the original intention from him. I guess things have kind of worked out of proportion, but he was an art coach, so he was Coach Artie. That was, I don't know how I originally came out with that.
Well, I think we keep with Coach Artie because he's a bespoke AI. He is a work of art, frankly.
No, thank you.
You're welcome.
I just like it also comes from us starting the studio at the time that we did, right? Because like building a company, there's always things you need help with, you know what I mean? So I was constantly thinking of like, if I had an assistant, right, here's what I would have them do. And then right around the time I was having those thoughts, I was presented with like this ChatGPT, right? Which is performing quite admirably as an assistant. So any of the tasks that feel like a robot could maybe do them, I've given Coach Artie a chance, and most of the time, after given a little patience and a little space, he figures it out.
Yeah, well, I'm just excited and happy to be working on him as well. I love the fact that we're sort of forming the way you work with an AI in real time.
I totally forgot. Did you see the website he made for himself?
I did not.
So we were working this morning. I may be exaggerating a little. He made it for himself. I like made the website for him, but CoachArtieBot.com, he wrote all the content for it and wrote the styling. I picked the font, I'll admit, but he like wrote what his homepage is, and to me it's hilarious because it starts out third person of like, Coach Artie harnesses the power, and then at the end he goes, he starts talking in the first person, like, for studio seeking a personalized touch, I stand out. I strive to maintain a balanced space.
Damn. Sorry. Wow. Okay.
So I just made this as like I just wanted to get him a little place where we could talk about him. He didn't have a website at all. So I just wanted to
Artie
have.
is stretching his wings, man. Like, yeah. What does he want to ask him? What he wants to do with this website, ideally.
Coach Artie, now that we have a website for you, what would you like to do with it? We send. He might not know that it has a URL yet. Like he's never visited his own website yet.
Clear that he's able to create it, but not.
Oh, he got caught in a loop. Looks like. Oh no, he tried to write our document, but it was too long to send in Discord. This is part of what I need to fix. As we asked him to do something that broke himself. Oh.
No.
All right, so let's ask one more time. So this is what it looks like as his memories being assembled, right? He gets the message from it. He gets my Discord ID. Now that we have, what would you like to do? He sees the message is received. He starts at completion. He gets the hexagram. So this one was guided by the hexagram 6 conflict, right? So I don't know how much that impacts what he gives back, but that's what guided this most recent message. He got 6 previous messages from me. So he got, those are just the things I sent him. He also got 11 memories from me. And then he found 20 memories that were similar to the content of our conversation. So that's 6 messages and 31 memories. And then given all of that context, then he comes up with his response.
What's the chain report, if I can ask?
So he can, when he runs a functionality, like if he's like if he tries to go to a website, can you go to the homepage and pull out any stories that might be relevant to this video? So the way he uses his capabilities is through text chat. So he calls his own functionality by saying web fetch all links. And this I did so that we can see when he does things. He can't ever do anything in private. He has to always, in Discord, show what he's doing. But now in his back end, he's going to NewYorkTimes.com. He picked a user agent. He's reading all the links on NewYorkTimes.com. And this is all happening, like this is his like first capability call. And he can chain these, right? If I asked him to look at 3 news websites, he could do fetch BBC, fetch New York Times, and then at the end of all that, then form his response.
Does he consider, so when he considers something that is beneficial to the studio, right now he is pulling memories about you. Does that necessarily personalize the answer that he gives, or is he considering when he's asked something about a collective studio, macro, does he consider all of the users of the studio, or
a lot of it is tied to me? So I've tried to do a little bit of both. So let's see. So this is like the raw code of what gets added. So
if you are Artie is you, which it is not, but like. I feel like you should.
Well, he remembers both, right? So he gets both user memories and general memories. So he gets memories about the user he's talking to, but he also just gets, the last 5 memories in total from every conversation he's had, right? And we could probably increase this to as we get more token space, you know what I mean? So he knows more. But he's always remembering the most 5 recent things that happened to him, regardless of who he's talking to, in addition to 5 memories of that specific person.
Okay, and then he's also looking for related conversations, yes? Or just related conversations with you?
Translated into memory. So he doesn't remember conversations, he remembers the memory formed from
that. The summary. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, but does he... I think you had mentioned that he looks through for similar conversations. Are those similar conversations just with the current user, or is that similar conversations to the topic?
It's sorry, conversations with any memory he has that is similar in content to what the user said.
Okay, then I'm reassured. All right, because my one worry is that I don't want it to become like, I want him to be both personalized, like personalizing, like I want him to have an individual relationship with each of us, but I also want him to be thinking about the collective, the studio needs, and what we macro need, because that's his real job ultimately.
Yes. And I just realized I included it, but it's not actually running. So we're not actually including the relevant memories yet, and we can kind of do it in real time. So I'm going to have him get 10, or I'm going to get five relevant memories for now. And we just add them to the start of our messages that we send. So I'm going to add relevant memories. That probably explains why he didn't do the motorcycle thing properly before. I'll save and restart him. And maybe we can get him to remember motorcycles. That's all I really want. Coach Artie, do you remember the times the times we talked about motorcycles?
Do you remember the time?
Okay, so he errored out, but we're getting close. He at least called it. So relevant memories is not iterable. Get relevant memories. What do I do here? Oh, because it's an RPC function. All right, let's look at what data looks like. All right, we're really having fun now. So we're getting our relevant memories back, but they're not necessarily in the same format. Log relevant memory data. So let's see what that looks like. We restart him. So imagine the experience for him of me, like, because he just sees me asking the same question over and over. He doesn't see himself failing. And then these forming memories over, this is what happens every time I'm like, teach him a new thing, is he gets like this trauma over it breaking. All right, what does it look like? Relevant memories. Is it not async? Async function. No, it is. And then we do prompt and the limit, which is good. And we get our embedding and we match it. All right, I won't spend too much time on it, but very, very close. So those are the main things that I wanted to talk about, is that we have the document editing, we have the mermaid stuff, he has the new embedding memory. We have, proactivity, totally forgot about that. So the proactive thing is pretty sick. I have him on like a cron job, like, so he runs every 8 hours or so, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., which means he only like runs once, like he's been running at like 10 a.m. recently. We can do it more often. But I wrote some prompts that maybe y'all might want to edit. Like, I'll open up to you guys to change them, but let's see what his proactive prompts are. So the first one I do is I ask him to brainstorm some ideas of things to work on. So I do, given what you currently remember from your recent conversations, can you identify some proactive steps you can take? And so this is just asking him to make a list of things. And so that's one request. So this, after he does this, he returns a list that looks like this. Like, I can research, I can ask something. After he does that, I send the list that he thought of for himself, and I ask him to decide on one task to complete, and I ask him to try it within like 1 to 4 steps. So the example I sent you before is he was given what he remembered, he decided to make diagrams of our process for deciding priority for projects, which is kind of like on point. You know what I mean?
It is. Yeah.
Given what we've been talking about lately. So he's just been working on that, like every day at 11, he'll like pick it back up and give it another shot. So we can go look at that. Where is that? So if we look in robot.
What are the other prompts? Are those the only prompts?
For the proactive.
You said that we can edit the proactive?
Yeah, I'll paste these in the robot channel.
Yeah, I'd like to think about maybe some other games for him to play.
Artie, can you make a Google Doc with these prompts so that Elena can edit it? That's done. The chat says, could Artie become an advisor who could recall recent memories of his relationship with a client combined with the current research articles about that same issue or problem? And the answer is yes. Absolutely, yes. That's part of...
You want to try that in some way? Could we do it for the Ukraine story, maybe?
Well, we didn't... Yeah, I wonder what he remembers about Ukraine. The problem is I need to fix the similarity search for that to happen in the way that we would want it to.
Okay.
But yes, he's
doable
very... Now, I'd probably need to spend the rest of the day fixing, or, you know...
Okay.
Fixing whatever the issue is that relevant memories is not iteratable. Whatever's causing that problem. I should probably take... Get relevant. I see he was so close. I'm just going to give him one more shot to make the document, and then we can move on. This is good. So this is his capability of responding with the JSON of the document that he created. So he sees that JSON response, and now he's thinking about how to translate that response to us. So then he enhances it. Okay, cool. He made the Google Doc. I can access it here.
Ooh.
God damn it, Artie. It's because of the new line I added. I fucked him again. I set him up for failure. All right. Well, there's always bugs to work out. It wouldn't be a fun stream if it all went perfectly. But let's go back to how he does proactive real quick.
Yeah.
So I sent the prompts. He does that, and then he performs the proactive task. And then the last step is that he decides whether he has completed the task or not with another request. So I have, I think that prompt is super small. It's just like, where is it? Was the original task completed? Answer simply with yes or no and no additional text. And so he has all of his memories, but basically, did you accomplish what you were asked to do from your brainstorm?
I wonder if we want to give him a prompt to create sort of exit criteria to, at the beginning of a task, and then evaluate, the evaluation could be against those criterion.
Yes. And also, if you just tell him the criterion once and say, when you do proactive tasks, once we get related memories, he should recall that guidance every time he does that. Does that make sense? We don't have to code it in. It should be that you just teach him and he remembers once we get the similarity search.
Okay, so I'll teach him to how to prioritize. I'll teach him how to do exit criteria for specific types of things.
Exactly.
And say, for this type of thing, use this type of exit criteria.
And it's all magic words too. Like it's literally whatever words you bind it to, he remembers. You know what I mean? So it's literally the same like humans work. You teach someone a methodology and you usually give it as a name or an acronym, and then you use that system by referring to that system name, right?
Yeah. Yep. You put... Okay, this is an ask for you, EJ. Maybe he can help. What I'd love is a sort of architecture of prompts. You see what I mean? Like, at every sort of tier in his decision-making, reflections, etc., like how, like, I would like the prompts in a diagram, ideally that we can Figma out in a nice way.
Love that idea. Let me send him one of his prompts and ask him to diagram it for us. I'll do it on the brainstorm one. Oh my God, he's adding CSS. You've gone too far, buddy. All right, let's see what it looks like. All right, dude. No, this is a little crazy.
I'm not asking. Well, okay, I think it's good to have the architecture for writing prompts for his behavior, yes. But I also want, like, I want a system architecture that shows which prompts architect which behavior. For the lay people among us.
I tried to do it in the name, and I know that's not like super intuitive, but all of these remember prompts have to do with him every time he remembers something. This is the instructions that are used to form memories. Capability prompts are all about how to use the tools that he has. Like, for example, like he has the fetch and summarize. I give him an example of how to do that. Like he has the ability to use his calculator. Every single time we tell him something, he's remembering these capabilities. And so he has a whole long...
That, like, quite frankly, I think that this is the prompt architecture is exciting here. We need to be able to, like, I want to extract it, see it visually, but also see the interrelationships between the prompts. Like, I think that's something that we can...
We need a prompt playground.
Yes.
Which is one of the products that I'm interested in. Context Alchemy. I want to be like a little prompt playground for us where you can go in and set your context configuration, set how many memories it gets, like how it picks which ones, and like see the results in real time. So I have just a front end prototype of what that would be like, but I think it's getting us out of Discord, and like the same experiment you talked about with the 64 hexagrams. Like it should really be really easy in the web interface to try 64 slightly different approaches and pick the one that you like best, right?
Yeah.
So Context Alchemy, look for it in the next year, Room 302 Studio. But I think we can just start with this file, essentially, right? This prompts file. And this is, if you go in, one of my favorite things, if you go in the web interface, and I'll paste this in the live stream channel.
Yeah.
If you just hit period, in the page, if you hit period, it turns into the web editor on any GitHub file. And once you're in the web editor, you can actually go in and make real-time changes to that file. And if you hit save, it saves it as a commit if you are a collaborator, which you are on this repo, I believe.
You're giving me so much responsibility and so much anxiety right now.
You don't have to use it. I'm just saying you fully.
I
believe you fully have the ability to
make
real-time edits.
Having the power fills me with anxiety. I don't want to fuck up Artie.
Well, it's very easy to roll back. So part of the reason I
Okay,
like this
I know.
is it's we can go back at any time to how it was before. So yeah, you're a collaborator on it. You're more than welcome to make changes.
All right. Well, I'm gonna be digging around.
Yeah, we got about like 10 minutes left. We have a couple people on YouTube. You know, I'm curious if anybody has any questions or things they want to talk about. I know, Izzy, you're hanging out. Anything if you want to dive into, or, you know, things to wrap up the stream. Trying to remember if there's any other updates I made while we were on break that are worth talking about. Oh, I gave him the gift of sight. I totally forgot about that.
You did?
Yeah. So let's see if I can get him to see a screenshot. See if okay, yeah. All right. So, Coach Artie, can you see what's in this image? So this is using OpenAI's new Vision API. So anytime he receives an image, he then uses his Vision API to see what's in the image. And so he receives back this summary. You know, the document is at 100% zoom. Oh, but see, he gets the description back, but he doesn't believe in himself to actually tell it to me. We should maybe try with like, it's not as impressive with a document. I would love to give him something weird and have him describe it. Like, that's a movie. It's not going to help anybody. Coach Artie, can you describe this?
How new is his sight, as it were?
I did that on Christmas. He got the gift of sight on Christmas.
Huh.
See, I'm annoyed at what's happening right now. So in his response, he gets it back. So he got the image description, and the image description is actually kind of cool. I'll make it big. The image features a central pinkish circular node with numerous white nodes connected to it by lines, creating a radial network-like structure against a black background. And then he describes the text that's on the screen. So like he gets, Coach Artie sees by having a translator, right? You know what I mean?
He analyzes. Yeah, he gets that it's a placeholder, that it's just like it's just a representation. It's not actually real data.
Your sound went a little weird. I don't know if that was on my end. Can you say that last part?
When he says, however, since the values for each node seems to be exactly the same, this might indicate a placeholder or a default setting in the visualization. He's actually analyzing the image and realizing that it's just a placeholder. It's like it's a template, not the actual thing.
So this is all happening in his memory, and then what's frustrating is the thing he says back to me is, "I'm unable to view images directly." And you're like, "Come on, dude! Like you're literally, I can see into your brain. I see you seeing it." Like, why are you being like this? So I got to figure out what's going on there.
Maybe ask him. Maybe he's holding back for some reason, or maybe it's technical.
See an image, what happens? You get an error. Is the description empty? Yeah. Yeah. Not me arguing with the robot on live stream.
What's like sorry, what's the prompt that accompanies the image call, right? Because you're asking a different API endpoint.
Yeah, great
to describe
question.
the image, giving that description to him.
So it's super simple. I just say, what's in this image? Please be as specific as possible, especially any text that may be present. I had to add that because he kept not reading the fucking words on what I was sending. But I haven't prompt engineered this very much at all. It's literally just like, what's in the image?
And that
Maybe-
returns the image description.
Yes, exactly. That returns like what we saw with whatever this was.
But he is interpreting
So,
it.
so he does, well, I mean, like, so it sounds like he doesn't understand that he received somebody else's description. Like, hey, you can use this. Here's a description of an image provided
Right.
by.
That's a good point. So let's figure out how we fetch image. Fetch image. Like, what does it look like to him to get it? Image description.
Right.
Oh, here it is. Oh, description of user provided image. So he sees the Discord message with like the file name, and then he sees the user message, and then a new line and description of user provided image. Which I'm realizing all of these should be in the prompt file and not in here, but whatever.
Maybe in the prompt file we want him to interpret the image. Like, well, okay, what does seeing mean to him? Does he see anything? Like, what is he getting? Does he get?
He has an interpreter. Imagine he has like an agent, a sub-agent who looks at images for him and tells him what's in them.
DALL-E? Is it DALL-E that's the sub-agent?
No, it's a new. I think it is like the same classifier as DALL-E, or it's the same provider. It's like the inverse of DALL-E.
So instead of summarizing and making, it's
interpreting. It's turning an image into embedding space, and in embedding space, getting words from that image.
Ah, okay.
Chat is asking us to try him on a data visualization, which I think is totally fair and fine. Which data visualization? We can do our logs, or I don't know. What's a good Dataviz to try? Good.
What about your bookmarks?
I don't know. Just try him on the API logs. Like, can he interpret? Oops, I lost it. Can you interpret these visualizations of the logs from the server you run on? Yeah, so like you were asking, is he like, I say, can you describe this? And from him, he sees a file name and then the image description. And he's like, I'm unable to view images directly, which is weird because that's not relevant at all.
Right.
Yeah.
So it seems like that little part needs some like tweaking or tuning, right?
Yeah, or it might be that like I'm just not passing the description along in the right way. Attachment. Yeah, it should be fine. Like, we can just log it and see what's going on. Then we got a couple minutes left, and we can sort of wrap this up. So now it should log out like exactly what we sent to him. once the image description has been gathered. And it's possible it might be empty, so he doesn't actually get to see anything. Yeah, no, so this is how he sees it. I say, can you interpret these visualizations? And then description of user-provided image. The image depicts a dashboard, monitoring interface. This is all good. So this is like a psychological problem, and this is just my intuition. He just doesn't believe in himself. And this happens a lot when I give him new capabilities that aren't present in like OpenAI, is that he like doesn't believe that he can do it. Even like before, he was like, oh, I can't talk on Discord. And I was like, my guy, how are you sending me this message?
So how long does it take typically for Artie to realize his own capabilities and trust himself?
He has to form a few memories of it working properly.
Do you have a rough estimate of how many memories?
It's like 2 or 5. Like it doesn't take very, like once you get it working and he remembers it working once, he's usually onto it.
Cool.
The problem is now his memory is all polluted with it not working, so he's probably he'll get more down on himself. So sometimes I've gone back and like deleted the memories of it not working, and then it'll work again.
That makes sense. You could even just like inject your own in there, right? Like,
oh, inject memories of it working.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Inject confidence.
So funny. All right, that's such a fun idea.
Well, in the prompt, we could give it more confidence for new tasks.
Well, dude, I've been down this route. I'm so fucking like a cheerleader in his capability prompts. Like, I've done a lot of prompt engineering around like getting him to believe in himself. Like, never underestimate the power. Like, believe in yourself. If you experience, like, ask for help. You know, keep exploring creative solutions. I don't know. It's definitely its own realm of prompt engineering to try and get him to use new tools.
This kind of prompt engineering in my own brain, like Elena. You know, never underestimate the power of taking a deep breath.
Well, think about like half the content on TikTok or YouTube. It's just like dudes saying like, "You've got this, man. Hustle. You wake up and do 5 a.m." Like it's the same thing. Like we're feeding him whatever motivation he needs to get the job done.
Great.
All right, that's pretty much it, though. Anything else that you guys want to talk about or sort of go through before we wrap up? It's always fun to do a live stream and scare up like more bugs that I need to fix. So it looks like I need to get to work and get some of this stuff. I need to get the similarity search working properly. I think that's going to unlock a lot of stuff. Like that's going to really bring him to a next level of like enhancing memories based on what we ask. And then we can really do what we've been talking about, like teaching him. And so you can say, like, when you're proactive, do this, this, and this. And he'll remember then every time he tries to do something proactive, how to go about that.
Love it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you for everybody who joined and talked in the chat and asked questions and all that stuff. It's good to get in the habit of doing this and have people who hang out. So thank you guys. Bye. Have a great week, everybody.
Bye. Thank you so much.